My name is Flyin Brian J. This is MMAmania.com. I'm talking about the main event of UFC on Fox 25 or hashtag UFC Long Island. It takes place this coming Saturday between Chris, the All-American Weidman, and Kelvin on a mission for gold. Maybe I should be in the welterweight division. Gastelum. Let's start with the tail of the tape. Just a couple of things that I want to mention is that, well, Weidman has a 7-inch reach advantage and he should have a decent size advantage. And I see a lot of people that are keying in on that. But according to Fightnomics by Reed Kuhn with Kelly Krieger, a fighter with a 6-inch or more reach advantage wins 65% of the time. But at the same token, a fighter with a 6+ year youth advantage also wins 65% of the time. Kelvin Gastelum is, what do you know, 7 years younger than Chris Weidman, so I think we can just throw that right out the window. But I do think Chris Weidman should be able to use his size a little bit early on in this fight, get Kelvin to the ground, maybe utilize a little bit of ground and pound, some vicious elbows. But I don't think Chris is going to be able to hold him there too long. He was unable to hold guys like, well, nobody holds Yoel Romero down for any amount of time, but he was unable to really hold down Gegard Mousasi all that effectively in his last fight, where he lost by TKO. And Kelvin Gastelum has a really good get-up game, even though he doesn't have a great takedown defense. Neil Magny and Tim Kennedy were able to take him down, but they weren't really able to damage him from that position, so I don't think Chris will be able to damage him there. I mentioned at the very start that perhaps Kelvin should be in the welterweight division, and after his last fight against Vitor the Phenom Belfort, Brian Stann asked him, he's like, hey, what are your plans next? And he's like, you know what? I'm going to call out Andy the Spider. Whew! Thank goodness that some dope decided to pop Kelvin hot for marijuana, so that fight couldn't happen, because I think that Kelvin probably would have squashed the Spider. But anyway, he doesn't really know if he's going to stay at middleweight, go back to welterweight. I think really where he needs to be is at middleweight, because he has the movement and the cardio to really mess with these guys in this weight class. Now, eventually I think he will hit a brick wall, but for now, wow, he sure is a terror in this division, and he had great cardio at 170 pounds. Now he's hanging out at 185 pounds. I think his cardio should be a huge advantage, and I mention this because Chris Weidman, for some reason, has been kind of gassing out midway through 3-round fights. A lot of people remember Chris Weidman as beating Yoel in the first 2 rounds, heading into the third before losing by that amazing flying knee knockout from the Soldier of God. But no, on every judge's scorecard, Chris Weidman lost that second round, and he seemed to be fading against Mousasi as well when they were heading into the later rounds of that fight. So I really think that Kelvin Gastelum is going to have a big gas tank advantage. But the fight is going to happen mostly on the feet if Weidman can't hold him down for a while. So what are the techniques that they are going to use? Weidman, of course, he is known as a wrestler, but he also has some pretty decent striking. And he's a guy that is very disciplined. Unlike Gastelum, where Gastelum missed weight a bunch of times at 170 pounds. That's why he's here at middleweight. Chris Weidman, he could probably fight decently successfully at 205 pounds. He struggles to make 185 a little bit, but his discipline is what allows him to make it to 185, and his discipline is also one of his best characteristics. His corner makes a game plan and he will stick to that. He's very fundamentally sound. He's very game plan oriented, except for that spinning kick attempt against Luke Rockhold. But nonetheless, this guy is very disciplined. He moves forward. He has a pretty good arsenal of striking attacks. Of course, his left hook is what knocked out Andy the Spider. May Andy rest in peace. I know he's still alive, but that was a sad moment for me. But he's also got a decent kicking arsenal. Against Mousasi early on, he was throwing some front kicks or teeps to the body that I really liked, and I was kind of impressed by that. So early on here, I think that even in the striking department on the feet, Chris Weidman has an advantage, and with the takedowns, Chris Weidman probably has an advantage. But at some point, probably at about the 9-minute mark, Chris Weidman is going to get tired, and that's when Kelvin Gastelum is going to take over. He likes to spam the 1-2, which he landed the 1-2 combination from the southpaw stance. Of course, he's a southpaw on Vitor Belfort. Oh, I don't know, 25 times? But it's just the fact that the last 1-2 combination that he landed on Vitor was like kaboom! Goes the dynamite, and he sent Vitor careening to the canvas. So really what I think happens here is Chris Weidman wins early and then fades abruptly around 9 minutes, definitely between rounds 2 and 3. And that's where Kelvin Gastelum is going to turn up the volume. If you look at his fights that have gone to the judges, like the one against Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, he lands more strikes in each round progressively as the fight goes on. And I think that's really going to behoove him here. He's smaller, he's more agile, he's more mobile. He's going to use his footwork very intelligently to get just out of the range of Chris Weidman when Weidman attacks first. And then he's really good at coming in with his own strikes, closing that distance super quick and getting that 1-2 combination or maybe a 1-2 chop. He's also good at working the body. So that's something you should pay attention to. If he's going to work the body of Chris Weidman, that could make the gas tank go away earlier than the 9 minute of the fight. But I definitely think Kelvin Gastelum is going to turn up the heat once we start the 3rd round, and in the 4th round, that's when he's going to put Chris Weidman down. And he has enough cardio in his gas tank that he can just go with a ferocious flurry once he gets his opponent down and on their back. And he's going to throw so many strikes in a row at Weidman after hurting him on the feet that the referee is going to be forced to step in, and Kelvin Gastelum is going to win by KO or TKO in round number 4. One thing too that supports my argument there is Chris Weidman was just TKO'd in April against Mousasi, and I think he's coming back too soon from that finish loss. And also he's lost 3 times in a row by KO or TKO. I wish this guy would just sit out for a while, let his brain recover, and then take a lower ranked opponent. Don't take somebody as dangerous and kind of as unknown as Kelvin Gastelum. But sorry, Chris, you're going to lose in the 4th round. I've got Kelvin Gastelum via 4th round KO or TKO. Tell me who you're picking in the comment section down below, whether that is the All-American or on a mission for gold. I want to talk to you about it. Let's chat in the comment section down below. I really appreciate you guys for watching this video, and if you made it to this point in the video, I've got a lot of love for you, a whole bunch. Thanks again, guys. Namaste.